Hello and welcome to Versus Live. I'm Todd Anderson.
And I'm Ross Merriam.
And Rob, say hi.
What's up?
That's Rob over in the booth. He's making the show run pretty smoothly, or else I hope he is.
I try.
We could be going real choppy, robot voice.
I have faith. I have faith in Rob.
Same.
Everything's going smoothly.
The
Everyone out there is loving it.
Well, not so much. I hope they're not watching, Dan May. Anyway, today we have more War of the Spark preview season for you. We're going to be playing 6 more standard decks, 5 of which were brewed actually by Ross Merriam himself. He had a huge brewing streak this weekend. He sent me 5 decks and said, I want to play some of these. And I said, let's just play all of them. Plus, I didn't have to work as hard. Great.
Sometimes you get that mood. I liked... The big thing is I liked a lot of my decks from Thursday, and 2 of the decks today are updates from those.
Sure. One
of them is sort of derived from the fact that I liked the Heroic deck, and I liked Krenko in it, even though we didn't see it in the games last Thursday. But I wanted to build around Krenko and Domri, so that's a deck we'll see coming up later.
New Domri or old Domri? Because old Domri gives it haste, potentially. No, that's a pretty big deal.
The new Domri. Plus 1/+0 to the Krenko to make more tokens, then plus 1/+0 to all the tokens that you make. That's just good living. Nice little polynomial increase, not exponential.
Thanks.
Polynomial increase.
Great.
These are different.
You're a math guy.
I'm going to pretend I know what that means.
Hell yeah.
One's x squared, one's 2 to the x. And so
math.
That's a deck. And then we were talking a lot about Bontu last Thursday, so I had to brew that one.
Yeah, you gave me that one, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
You got to play with Bontu because I knew you'd be big on that.
Please tell me you have Cruel Celebrant in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that deck's a nice one. But we're going to start with the deck that you have brewed.
Yeah, I did build one deck.
And then my deck is an offshoot of the Esper midrange deck I played last week, which was a lot of Planeswalkers, Fibblethip, and enabled like Karn's Temporal Sundering, and really took the Dimir core that we've seen have success over the last few months of Thought Erasure, Hostage Taker, and Thief of Sanity, and paired it with Teferi, which is a card that Time Raveler, the new Teferi, which is a card that lets you shut down Wilderness Reclamation and have an insane tool against control decks. So it lets you bias your deck a little bit more towards beating aggressive decks. Mm-hmm. And I was taking advantage of the instant speed nature of your sorceries with the +1 with Time Wipe, this new sweeper, to like bounce your good creatures, and then have this main deck Wrath against aggressive decks. And I thought, Time Wipe is a little narrow. What if we played Enter the Gods Eternal, which is a great sorcery to be casting at instant speed.
Oh, yeah.
And another good mid-range value card that fits well in the deck. And then without the sweeper in the main, we can go back to Hero of Precinct 1, like Wyatt Darby played early in last season's Standard. And so I've just built an Esper Hero deck with Teferi, and it seems sweet.
No, I looked at it. We played a couple games so far already, and it looks really, really cool. Hero Precinct 1 is one of those cards that's really good against both aggro and control. It's just an all-star against either side. And, using that to fuel your early game pressure or defense is just really nice.
And then the early tempo from Hero Precinct 1 lets you, and creating the bodies lets you take advantage of Teferi's -3. You bounce their blocker, get in a big chunk. Maybe the 1/1s can protect your Teferi if that's what you want to do. So you have this dual game plan that mid-range decks like to implement, where you can be aggressive if need be, you can be defensive if need be, and your tools are pretty good at both. So I think the deck meshes well together at a theoretical level, and the cards play well together. It's just the mana's a little worrisome, but Enter the Gods Eternal gives you a little life gain to offset the shock lands, the way Basilica Bellhaunt did in Darby's initial list.
Yeah. Do you have some of those in your sideboard against the red decks?
No, the mana base is slightly changed, so there's fewer black sources.
It is very hard to cast unless you have the right.
We got some Eliras in the sideboard, some Moment of Cravings. We got enough.
All right, so we're going to be pairing that against my Grixis control deck. We're calling it Bolas Control, right, Rob?
Yes.
Bolas Control and
Grixis Bolas, I think is what you.
Grixis Bolas, great.
Sorry.
Excellent. I'm using actually a lot of new cards, and I want to talk about a few of them because I think that a lot of these are really powerful, and they might actually help put Grixis on the map. We've had people ask us about Grixis over and over again over the last few weeks, and we haven't really had any real bangers until we hit like Act 3 of the storyline, and then it's just Enter the Gods Eternal, Nicol Bolas, the Dragon God, and just like a ton of really powerful blue, black, and red cards that also, are basically just like Nicol Bolas' spells that he's casting to defeat all these planeswalkers. And I'm utilizing a bunch today. Nicol Bolas, Dragon God. God Eternal Kefnet is the one that a lot of people are excited about, myself included. 4/5 flyer for 4 mana. It's ridiculous. That's a pretty good rate already. And then it has 2 other great abilities, one of which is you get to just cast some free stuff off the top of your deck, or it just never dies. You just can't kill it. If you exile it, boom, goes back on top. Put it in the graveyard, goes back on top. You're going to have to hit it with a discard spell. You have to have like a bounce plus discard spell or a counter spell, I think.
Yeah, you've got a reasonable rate on a creature that also provides card advantage. That's a good sign. So you have card advantage in a source that isn't going to cost you tempo, because the 4/5 body has a pretty big impact on the battlefield.
Yeah.
But the issue with that initial part of the card is that it needs to stick around to do anything. So it's pretty vulnerable. There's a lot of ways to deal with flyers right now in Standard: Crushing Canopy, Crawler, Pooner, Vivian Reed. And so, the 5th toughness is good against Lava Coil, but it might die too easily at 4 mana. But now you've got a card that doesn't die that well. As long as you can sustain the tempo loss,
right,
from them putting it back in your deck and getting into your battlefield a little bit, then you're going to stick the Kefnet around. You're going to recoup all that card advantage and bury them. So the 3 abilities together make a really nice complete package.
Yeah, I agree. Other than that, we got Ingress Rampage, which I think has spoken for itself so far. It's just been a hit, knocking off Planeswalkers for 2 mana, pretty big deal. Early on, if your opponent has some token-based creatures, not that good of an edict, but that's okay. It's also pretty good against artifacts. It makes your opponent sacrifice the treasure map. It does it all for 2 mana. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of that card. Here, it's going to be a little awkward against Hero of Precinct 1,
sure,
but unless that card gets going, it's going to nab something good.
I'll usually probably just save it for your Planeswalkers. Those are the things I'm going to have trouble with.
Yep.
Enter the Gods Eternal. You have it. I have it. We think the card is great. We're going to see just how good it is today. And then Widespread Brutality. This is another new one that we're trying out.
Yeah.
We've seen it. The more I thought about it, the more I think that there could be a really good Dreadhorde Invasion Widespread Brutality deck, just like the Amass deck, right? Like you have all these cards that are like do something really powerful, but also create a body along with it, or make a bigger body. And something like the Dreadhorde Invasion will make sure you always have something around. And eventually, if you get it up big enough, you have this like really large life-linking attacker that you get to clear the way for. So you get to start chunking in damage or killing Planeswalkers with, which I really like. 4 mana, for basically a Pyroclasm. It's not great, but if the game goes long enough with Enter the God Eternals, you're going to potentially get a 6/6 sometimes that kills your opponent's entire side of the battlefield, and you get to start attacking for large heaps of damage.
With Dreadhorde Invasion, you can attack, give the thing lifelink, and then Brutality post-combat and gain a bajillion life, because the army deals the damage.
Wow. That's really cool.
So if you can attack with it as a 6/6 and have it not die in combat, then you make it an 8/8 and gain 8 for every other creature.
Why can't you just do that before you attack?
Because the Dreadhorde Invasion triggers when the creature attacks. When a zombie attacks with any zombie, any zombie with 6 or more power.
Sure. And then last but not least, Commence the Endgame. Now, Commence the Endgame is the card that I'm actually going to be writing about in my article this week. 6 mana instant, can't be countered. That's a big deal for a 6 mana investment. Your opponent can't just knock it off with a negate. What you do is you get 2 cards, and then you get to amass X, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Now, this is going to play a lot like Torrential Gearhulk, and I think that a lot of people have seen this card and don't really understand that this is just Torrential Gearhulk, except you're always casting the Glimmer of Genius, and that's pretty powerful. The fact that it can't be countered is a huge deal, and this is going to be something that gives the a Chemister's Insight deck just a different angle of attack. So you don't actually just have to play Teferi anymore. You can just play like a Grixis control deck, which we're doing today.
I think you're a little overzealous with the Torrential Gearhulk.
Obviously, it's not as good as Torrential Gearhulk because it could cast removal spells.
Well,
I get it.
But just thinking of it as a self-contained card, it makes it 2/2 as opposed to the 5/6.
Sure.
But the fact that it can get up to Torrential Gearhulk, it's basically Gearhulk if you make a 2/2 into a 4/4 or a 4/4 into a 6/6 and get to block something bigger with it, like that's pretty close to Torrential Gearhulk or right on par with it. So it's a card that gets there and has that Torrential Gearhulk as its ceiling.
Yeah.
And Torrential Gearhulk it's just an all-star card that's spilled into Modern. So that still seems good, and that's definitely a card that I overlooked. because like, we have so many divination kind of cards, and they all cost 4 mana.
It doesn't seem like it should be that good, but at 6 mana, like I think that the swing it could create in combat, while still just keeping the juice flowing, like if you're low on resources, is just a pretty huge deal.
Yeah. You're getting 3 cards effectively.
Yeah.
One of which is is a pretty good creature / body, and if that body that you create ends up ambushing something in combat, then you've gotten a 4th card, and now you're an opportunity, and that card's great.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Any questions while we're getting started here, Mr. Robert?
Yes. First off, not about this format in particular, but have you tested the new Mulligan on Magic Online farther, and how do you like it?
I did last night. I played Tron. I mulled to 3 and I won. That's stupid. I don't like it anymore. I don't like the rule anymore. It's real stupid.
Did you keep Natural Tron as your 3?
It was like 2 pieces in an expedition map or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Like it's just stupid. I look. I don't want to be incentivized to mulligan. Okay, I think mulligans are bad. There's like a safety valve if your hand is bad. I aggressively mulliganed so much last night, and it made me sick to my stomach thinking about how that would work in real life. Just having to mulligan to 3 or 4, just constantly looking for Tron in a deck that literally can beat you with a 3-card hand, because that's just how powerful Tron the lands are.
To be fair, you are playing the deck in Modern that mulligans the most.
Yeah, but it mulligans, and is punished for it instead of like mulliganing and being rewarded for it. That's like completely
do you think
different.
that should be an indictment on decks in the format instead of the mulligan rule itself, and perhaps that maybe the format needs to change?
I think you just need to do a different mulligan rule, but I don't know exactly what. My pick is just loot X cards to the bottom and draw that many -1. I think that's pretty good deal.
So you rummage the cards?
Yeah, I just hate, and I think you should only be able to do it once. I don't know, something like that. I just really, really hate this mulligan rule, honestly.
I'm fine with it.
I was fine with it, and then I played Tron, and then I was no longer fine with it.
You would have mulliganed a ton playing Tron anyway.
No, I had a bunch of like okay hands. I had a bunch of like 1 Tron piece, like 2 Chromatic Star hands that I would have probably kept. And
well,
lost.
you probably would have been wrong to keep them.
Great. Well, then let's just ban Tron.
Everyone I know who plays a lot of Tron mulligans a ton. Like all those borderline 6-card hands, they just mulligan all of them.
Okay.
And they win a lot.
Okay.
So that's just what the deck does. I mean, I actually think Tron gets worse because every other deck gets so much better at mulliganing relative to what Tron gets better, because Tron was already so good. So there's diminishing returns on how much better it can get in that.
I mean, you just have so many more looks to find Tron, like so many more.
But every other deck has.
I mulliganed every game and found Tron every game, except 1. I had Tron on 5 once. Every game.
That's what the deck does. It's literally designed to do that.
Just roll some dice. Let's go. I don't care anymore.
You're always even. It's even today.
Hell yeah.
No justice.
There is some justice. Look, I was on your side. I thought it was fine, and then I just played Tron once.
It'll be fine. It's always fine.
Okay. My hand is fine. I need
my hand is also fine.
I need to draw a bunch of lands in a row.
Today's fine. Tomorrow will be fine.
Yeah, started with a land.
Nothing ever gets better than that.
Hey, look, put 3 cards on the bottom.
Perfect.
Love me Grixis Bolas. A 2-mana 1/3 lets me look at the top 3 cards before I put them on the bottom.
I don't even get to look at any cards with my 2/2. Ooh.
Come on! What the heck? I actually just need all those lands I put on the bottom. Go.
Think I will just.
Think about deputy detention on my Grixis Bolas?
No. I don't really want to do this because I don't think it really gets me anywhere. Although this card does not have a lot of targets in Todd's deck. I do kind of want to wait on this card to get immediate value. So I guess I will just pass the turn.
Well, I put 5 lands on the bottom, and I need lands, and luckily I drew a land. That was nice.
Okay.
All right. I will. You're going to mortify something probably, so I mean, I'm just going to, I guess, cast Cry of the... Actually, I'll Widespread Brutality just to get another body on the battlefield.
Sure.
All right, I'm just gonna use just part I'll token. It's 2/2. All right, attack for 2.
Mortify and Augur.
All right, you take 1.
19.
Here we go. Watch brutality is tight.
I will go to 17 to shock myself and play Seraph of the Scales. That should be a very important card in this matchup, given that we're both playing a lot of removal and card draw and planeswalkers. So yeah, this is a clear sign of Cry. I'll take 3, go to 14.
Got him. Go. So you're at 14?
Yep.
I missed a shock.
Yeah, I shocked last turn for the Seraph.
16.
Assume this is a Chemister's coming. I'm just going to enter the God Eternals, deal with your zombie, make one of my own, and mill myself for 4, and go back up to 18.
Okay. Pretty good.
I thought so.
I'm in some trouble.
Card just has so much text.
Yeah. A lot of things.
Yeah, it's hard to remember all that it does. So now we're ahead on board. These cards are hard to deal with by Todd's mini sweepers.
I'm gonna Thought Eraser you.
I have a Teferi and a Mortify.
I will take the Teferi.
That's what I thought.
Ingress, Rampage in the Grave, because I'm going to cast 1 now, and he might just make the Seraph of the Scales into 2 1/1s.
I think that's what I should do. I can't imagine not doing that.
Okay. Your turn.
You know. Attack.
I think I should jump block here, but I think I'll just take it.
You're 10.
Yeah.
Play Tapped Elephant and pass. Not great that we couldn't follow up with anything there. Pretty good turn out of Todd, and now he's stuck on lands, and we have a few too many. So the impetus is on me to close this game before Todd can start playing more powerful cards. Insight's good.
Go.
Just gonna draw. You know what card would be good here? Enter the God Eternals.
Yeah. It would kill me. Boom. Am I dead?
Nope.
Tight.
But I am just gonna mortify this and mush.
Yeah.
Brings you to 4. Pass.
You know, what'd be really good right now is an Enter the God Eternals of my own. I don't have it. That's why I said it'd be good.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
That's not a good sign. Attack.
I'm going to play, commence the end game. I'm going to draw 2 cards.
That's pretty messed up.
And I'm going to make a 5/5. I'm going to block.
You're 2.
Hey, it's like turn to Gear Hulk.
You can go. Yeah, that was about as good as we've seen that card. I'll go to 13.
All right. Cry the Carnarian.
Yep.
And I'll play Soul Falls and a Kefnet. Your turn.
Hero of Precinct 1.
Okay.
You can go.
His last card's a land, like 99%. So
This was not a good series of draws on my side.
I'm gonna copy this one. What does it cost? Two less.
And that'll kill me.
Excuse me.
You have 9 power.
Target this.
Yeah.
And it goes to my hand.
Yeah.
And then this.
You could cast it again and just deal 4 to this.
I'm at 2. Rats.
Huh?
No, I just gained 4 life. Sorry. 6. Do it again.
Yeah.
That looked pretty good there.
Do this much damage.
17.
That's a lot of damage. Holy crap. All right. We're doing it. God Turtle Kefnet showing off a little bit.
Yeah.
One more pre-board? 2 more pre-board?
You know, it's easy to say that I got a little aggressive there with that Mortify, but I think if I save it and you just get to chump block, like, I'm just going to lose to your Kefnets and whatever else. I think I gave myself the best shot of winning. Just hit a few too many lands. I think these games are going to go along, so we should probably get to sideboarding.
Why? Okay, after sideboard, my deck is literally just going to become Duresses, Negates, and Thief's Sanity. Like, I have a lot of cards to bring in.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of cards to bring in?
Oh, I've got some Duresses.
All right, how about this? You can bring in as many cards as you want, but you can't cut any new cards. How's that? Are any of your new cards even bad? Probably not.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Well, let's take a short break here, just 2 minutes, to let us get some sideboarding straight, because I'm not even sure how I'm sideboarding this matchup, because there's so many things going on. But we will be right back in a minute once we get that done, and we'll bring some post-board games to you.
Back here for sideboarding. I'm still kind of working stuff out. So, Ross, tell us about what you're doing over there.
So, on my side, I have to expect Thief of Sanity. So, normally I would want to bring out all my Mortifies, but I don't think I can afford to do that. I think I have to leave a couple in just to deal with that. As a result, I'm not bringing in all the counter spells I could be bringing in. I'm only bringing in the Dovin's Vetoes, not the Disdainful Stroke. I'm not sure how good the counterspells are going to be because Todd's deck is so loaded with discard in the post-board games, so it's hard to sit there with a counterspell in my hand. But it is nice to, like, pass with a counterspell up after we get ahead, because I think I'm going to be a little ahead in these matchups, and countering some of the mini sweepers to protect an early battlefield with hero and things like that is really nice. So I think that some counterspells are warranted. We've got some Duresses of our own. Maybe that's what I don't want, because if we're both like just trading a bunch, then maybe I don't want as much discard so I can top deck better. Yeah, I've convinced myself I don't want these Duresses.
All right, I can literally board in all of these cards because Ross's deck kind of hinges, or it swings on both sides, right? Like, it can be aggressive with Hero Precinct 1, where I need sweepers like Cry of the Carnarium to do like good work or whatever. Thief's Sanity, Legion War Boss, these cards are pretty good against control decks in general. But in this scenario, Ross's deck, like mine, is just so chock full of removal, there's no way he can get all of it out of his deck. So cards like Thief's Sanity and Legion War Boss are significantly worse under that circumstance. So I'm not sure how good they are here to actually bring in. And also, I just don't want to. So I'm just not going to sideboard anything. I don't care. I have way too many new cards in my deck. The only things I can really side out that are still fine are Augur and Cry the Carnarium. And Augur's also kind of new because it's a reprint, so I'm just gonna leave my deck as is for the memes.
You're not sideboarding?
Yeah, why? I mean, I don't want the game to become all about Thief's Sanity, right? Like, that just seems bad because that's what a lot of these decks already do. I just want to put an emphasis on the new cards. And, all my cards are good against you.
Figuring out which of the new cards helps win Thief of Sanity games seems important, Todd.
Okay, so do you want me to cut my Augurs of Bolas or some new card? Because I don't really want to do either of those things.
You probably don't need all the mini sweepers in the deck. Like, you should probably cut the Cries.
Yeah, but then I'm just going to lose to one of your creatures. I'll play one more without sideboarding, and then I'll board in Thief Sandy for the third game. Mr. Robert?
I think Todd just wants to win without Thief of Sanity in his deck for the Rubbins.
No,
that seems fair.
Every time I play with or against Thief of Sanity, once it hits the battlefield, the entire game becomes about that. And I just don't want it to overshadow the new cards. We already know Thief Sanity is good. That's why I'm not a huge fan of doing sideboards in Versus anyway. We do it because, that's just how tournament Magic works, and we're trying to stay as close to that as we can with, trying out new stuff. How's your opener, sir?
Unkeepable.
All right, well, I'm going to keep mine while he's mulliganing. Mr. Rob, you want to hit us with anything?
Yes. What did you think about Blast Zone, the new land that's kind of like engineered explosives?
I mean, I think it's super powerful. It's free. It's a land. It doesn't get around Chalice because it just enters with one counter on it, which I think is weird. I feel like that's the kind of card that should just be able to kill Chalice's Void, personally. So,
I'm a huge fan of utility lands in general, so I'm excited about a card like that. It's hard to think of like a good home, given that the premier control deck in the format right now plays Kaya's Wrath. It's really hard to play colorless lands in your decks that have cards with 4 colored mana in their symbols.
No, I think it's a card that might go pretty well into Wilderness Reclamation, just because you get to untap it to put another counter on it if you need to charge up to like 3 pretty quickly. And also, it's just like a land that can deal with things that, like a Simic version might not necessarily be able to kill, like, a Search for Escanta or something that's on the battlefield that's kind of problematic.
Like Teferi.
Yeah, I mean, kind of hard to take up to that, but yeah.
I mean, don't you just get to like put X counters on it or whatever?
No, you're
like
right.
Ratchet Bomb.
I thought it was like Ratchet Bomb. You're right.
You just sink a bunch of mana into
What are you
it.
doing?
You're mulligan a 7 all the time.
Yeah, I do. I feel like we should maybe just start doing the London Mulligan, right? Because there's no way it's not going to just become the actuality, huh?
We'll see. I highly doubt it.
All right, your turn.
But it wouldn't be the first time they've like announced a pretty significant change, tried it once, and then said nah. They did that with the original Magic Fest idea with the Grand Prix of Pro Tours in Paris.
I'm going to use Ingress Rampage to make him sacrifice his hero before that thing gets out of control.
Let's play another one. You're up.
All right. Well, he didn't play Thief Sandy. That's pretty good news for me. I'm going to make him sack this one too. But now we're a little soft to Planeswalkers, which is unfortunate.
Okay, let's shock and play this Planeswalker that rebuys a hero.
That's pretty damn good.
I'm at 18.
Yikes, fam.
You're up.
Yikes, fam. All right, let's play a God Eternal Kefnet and hope for the best. Now he can minus the Sorn again?
Oh, no!
What? Well, you can't kill it?
That's okay, I guess. It's a plus, deal you 1, and I gain 1, so 19 all.
Yep. Why'd you say, oh no?
Hostage taker, this thing, get a 1/1.
Okay.
Attack you for 2, I gain 2.
17.
17, 21. You can go.
Sorn looking pretty good here.
That's a Thopter, by the way.
I need to get a soldier.
Aaron Barrich. There he is, right there.
There he is.
All right, I'm going to go to 15.
Different Infect player.
And then I'm going to go back up to 19. We're going to target the Hostage Taker for 4. We get Kefnet back. We get a 4/4 zombie. We gain 4 life, and then we mill ourselves for 4, and hopefully hit a Chemister's Insight. We did not. Okay. Here we go. Pretty big tempo swing.
-4 on the Hostage Taker. Take the God Eternal and cast it?
Okay.
Oh, is this Owner's Library?
Yes. What, you think you could shuffle it in your own deck?
Todd, you also could have tucked the Kefnet because it got exiled due to the Hostage Taker.
Oh, well, I'll just do that now.
Oh, yeah. I guess I have to do that, though.
It is a May, but...
Okay, so you want to tuck it off of this?
Yeah.
I still don't want to deal with the God Eternal.
Okay.
And
you get a token for... No, you didn't cast it.
I minused. This has been very awkward. Play a Seraph, get another token.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
Draw for turn. This is getting a little sticky. I'm going to...
Mass
Chemisters.
Okay, that I'm a big fan of.
And so go.
Okay, let's Thought Erasure you, get another token.
All right, Augur, 2 Nicol Boluses, Kefnet, and a Commence the Endgame.
None of those is particularly good. I will, however, so Nicol Bolas, you'll just get to, I guess if you want it to plus, that could get awkward because it goes up to 5. Mm-hmm. And the Seraph gets it down to 1, so I'd have to throw away 1 token to deal with them. Maybe throw away a 2nd token to the activated ability, and you would just get a card. So you'd get a card and 2 1/1s. That's not a big deal. So I think the Kefnet has the most potential to do a lot of damage right now. Yeah, you can cast it. Just, I guess I should make sure of that.
Yeah.
The Augur doesn't do a whole lot. That could dig towards like something for the Seraph. but the Kefnet can also do that, and just I don't have an answer to it right now.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you expect the game to go longer, I think just in general, it's good to knock off the Kefnet when you can, especially if like you have enough pressure for the Nicol Bolas.
Slot Erasure seems pretty good.
I mean, it's definitely going to hit something. It's definitely going to hit a powerful spell, but it depends on what you use your mana for.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to do this turn, and I can't pair the Erasure next turn, so I'd just be doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
These are the weird turns and why I'm not super comfortable in mid-range mirrors. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to keep this. It seems fine, but it doesn't seem great. I think I'd rather dig towards something better.
Okay.
Attack for 4. I guess I can give it Vigilance.
Fine. I'm at 15.
You can go.
All right. Let's play an Augur Bolas. I
Yep.
believe that's the best thing to do here. Oh, looky there. Widespread Brutality. Exactly what I wanted. Land. Widespread Brutality. I guess he could kill the zombie first, and then it would be smaller, but that's fine.
Nope.
Okay. Augur dies.
Make some spirits.
Attack for 6.
I will go to 15.
I had you at 19, taking 6 down to 13.
I went to 21 from something. There was an attack with Hero when I had Soren still in play.
Sure. Okay, so what are you at?
So I'm at 15.
Okay, your turn. Probably missed it because it's static.
I'm gonna shoot for 2.
13. Getting this to 6 is also good because it gets it out of range of the Enter the God Eternals too.
So now, because that thing goes to 5, I have to play something to pressure Nicol Bolas. So let's play Seraph and pass the turn. Go to 9.
I guess we could deal him an extra 5 if we just commence the end game here.
Yep.
It's not going to kill him though. Need to kind of like, I guess, press towards potentially winning the game. Let's minus on this just to stall a little bit.
Stalls a bit and sets up Todd up for another mini sweeper that can do a lot of damage.
And now commence the end game if he doesn't block is potentially lethal, so I can kind of put him in the abyss without casting commence the end game.
Well, let's play Teferi and plus on, or not plus, minus on the zombie. Draw a card.
And now I can't play it instant speed, so I actually have to main phase the commence if I
Send
want.
1 at Nicol Bolas and 3 at Todd, so 10 to 9.
Yep.
And pass the turn. Fortunately, now that Nicol Bolas can survive, it pluses.
All right, I'm going to play the... Oh, this is tough. I kind of want to just like not play Nicol Bolas yet and just use it in a turn or two to kill this. And I want to dig for another sweeper while also maybe applying pressure. So I'm just going to main phase of commence the end game.
Yep.
So we'll draw 2. Make a 5/5. I haven't played a land yet, so let me see. All right, go.
Frustrating set of games. Plusing this Teferi. Attack you for 3.
7.
Play Drowned Catacomb and pass.
I will enter the God Eternals on your token.
Mill 4.
Yep. Did not hit anything. I'll attack you for 9.
Contempt the token.
Right,
Just trying to avoid. Go to 11.
I'll play this tap and play an Augur.
Jeez.
Get a Thought Erasure. Your turn. Possible I should not have gone for the kill. I should have just shipped the Teferi, but I don't know.
Todd, what do you think about replacing Augur with Discovery Dispersal? Is Augur just too important against aggro?
Yeah, mostly I'm trying new stuff out or whatever. I just think Augur's very good in this type
3
of a deck.
brings you to 4.
No, I gained 4 life. I should be 8.
Oh yeah, because you. What did you gain for?
From the,
you entered. Yeah.
Enter the God Eternals.
Okay, so you're at 8. I'm at 11.
That's what I have.
Play another Glacial Fortress and pass.
All right, you have one card?
Yep.
I have to imagine it's just a land, but I guess just if I'm going to cast a Nicol Bolas, maybe I should just
In response, I'll enter on your Augur.
Nice.
Get to play that at instant speed because of my Teferi.
Yep. It's pretty good.
So I'll gain 4, go to 15. I'll mill 4. Okay, milled some bad ones, so it's nice to see. 15 to 8. And now I have enough pressure to deal with the Nicol Bolas. The enter was a superb draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it keeps my Teferi at 3 in case I need to bounce something.
Just since I'm at 8, I just gotta kill this. Go. I probably should have just attacked the Teferi for 1 first.
So 1 at Nicol Bolas, 2 at you, brings you to 6. Play a Thief plus this thing. Pass. Maybe I shouldn't have played the Thief. Because now you can play another mini sweeper and deal with my entire board. That's, yeah. Oh, classic Augur.
Go.
That's a sweet draw. Okay, we hit some good ones here, and now feeling pretty good. So, go to 1.
3 lands?
Yep.
Nice.
I'm going to play Hostage Taker, take the Augur,
Good God.
cast the Augur, which
right.
gives me something that survives a mass sweeper.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the top 3. That's a pretty good one, too. Let's
Cast it too.
Yep.
All right.
Auto Erasure you. Take a Chemister's, surveil 1.
I'm pretty dead. Just gonna...
I think I'm going to keep this one on. You have a Chemister. You were like tapped out. I guess you can't cast them in instant speed anyway. So you have 9 mana and a Chemister's and and a bunch in the yard. Actually, you have all 4. Access to all 4. Is this card good enough? Like, you need to find the Amass card.
Pretty sure I'm dead, dude. Just play it faster. I'm pretty sure I have 0 outs.
Yeah, you're at 1. I'll just spin this.
Okay.
You can go. I was thinking about like bouncing this thing to prevent a sweeper.
If I had done this last turn, I think I actually might have won this game. Yeah, that sucks. Okay, you win. I drew them, but it's too late. So I'm at
You
1.
just can't cast both. These are yours. Okay.
Right.
Well, hit a string of lands there in the mid game and fell pretty far behind, but my Enter the God Eternals draw was actual perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And
I shouldn't have cast Auto Erasure, I think. That just like left me 2 mana short of being able to cast like a Chemister on top of something else.
okay,
And,
that was the issue with it. Yeah, your
like-
mana usage that turn.
Yeah, I was just like my plan was just gonna be casting Nicol Bolas and killing the Teferi, but I don't know. That was just I got destroyed by the Enter the God Eternals, which I think is gonna be fairly commonplace.
Yeah.
Just getting absolutely massacred by that card.
Yeah,
Mr.
so
Robert?
if you're able to Chemisters a turn earlier, then you're able to find the Widespread Brutality a turn earlier, and then although I guess like it would have been before the Hostage Taker trigger, but still, like, you know, you got to think about it, but not how it actually played out.
All right. I'm gonna cut these Chemisters Insights because I feel like I don't really have time to just waste on casting them.
I don't think you should cut all of them, because I think like one of them has a lot of value in these longer games, but you don't want to draw a million. Like you draw 4 that game and didn't come close to you.
Yeah, and I mean I don't think I ever have time to actually just flash it back or play the jump start. I'm gonna try out sideboard plan, just bring in Thief Sanity and Duress. I'm not gonna worry about negate. We're gonna cut these 8.
I think your counter spells are even worse because I have discard spells and Teferi.
Yeah.
If I just resolve Teferi, your counter spells are.
Yeah, Teferi seems quite strong. Puts me in some really tough spots. Any questions from chat, Mr. Rabu?
Yeah, you're both playing black decks, but you're not playing the Elder spell. What are your thoughts on its impact in Standard?
What is this?
So
is the
kills any number of planeswalkers, and you get 2 loyalty on a planeswalker you control for each planeswalker destroyed this way. It's not a good card. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that 2-mana spell that all it does is kill a planeswalker. It's not good.
Yeah, that is it's just a hard card to have in your hand in a lot of situations.
Like people are talking about like the dream scenarios where you get to like play a Teferi, kill 2 planeswalkers with it, and put Teferi up to 8, and then ultimate the Teferi. And I'm just like, if your opponent has 2 planeswalkers on the battlefield, there's no way that you haven't A, cast the thing already, or B, have the Teferi already. Like, both of those things would have been cast by now. If your opponent has multiple planeswalkers.
You just like end a turn chemisters into those 2 cards.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Maybe.
The players have a land drop, your opponent's tapped out.
Yeah, and they're dead.
They have okay.
I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah. It's definitely a card that reads like, man, this can do some really powerful things. And you're right, like it has a very high ceiling, but it has a really low floor.
Yeah. Any more?
Yeah. What do you? Esteus was asking, have you given any thought to a Planeswalker toolbox deck, given the new static abilities that they have?
Well, we actually played one of those a week or 2 ago. It was from a Brian Gottlieb article. I played an Abzan deck with the 4 and a white, tutor for 2 Planeswalkers card, a bunch of ramp with Gift of Paradise, and a toolbox of Planeswalkers. It did some like okay stuff. I think just a lot of the uncommon Planeswalkers are pretty underpowered. They're like weak draws by themselves, even if they're like narrowly good as a part of a toolbox. Maybe with the entire set, I think that was like halfway through, so we were missing some cards. Mm-hmm. My takeaway I remember from that match, though, was that Liliana Dreadhorde General was the most impressive Planeswalker in a deck full of Planeswalkers.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, I think that you just have to evaluate every Planeswalker based on their static. Having a toolbox is not really that important because you just need Planeswalkers that are good all the time. And, like Saheeli and Planeswalkers with static effects that affect the battlefield are, like, pretty good. But as far as the uncommon ones go, I haven't seen too many that I really want to put into a deck except for Saheeli and maybe Davriel.
Kasmina. It's kind of a cool one.
Kasmina's okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to keep mine, I guess. It's 5 lands, but I think that's fine. I just need to hit all my land drops in this matchup anyway.
My hand is great, so...
Okay.
Snapping this one off.
Go.
Tapped Water Grave.
Go.
Ugh. Every time I say my hand is great, I just draw lands off the top of my deck. I need to learn to stop doing that. Pride cometh before the fall.
Go.
Okay, I don't want to get swept up in a... what's the Rakdos Amass card?
Widespread Brutality.
Widespread Brutality. I'm gonna play a Dove in here.
All right.
And get my token.
Mm-hmm.
Brutality doesn't deal damage to Planeswalkers, right?
Correct.
That would be messed up.
It would be messed up.
Well, I think that Brutality is going to have to come down next turn against this hero, or it likely will. Like Todd hasn't done anything on the first 2 turns. I guess he could also have an Angrath's. If you had an Angrath's Rampage, I think you would have dealt with the hero on your turn. But maybe not if you also had Widespread Rampage. So if that's exactly your hand, you get to just clean up everything. I'll play for the worst case scenario and get my free life point.
Okay.
I'll go to 21 and attack you for 2. You're at 18. You can go. Let's see what weird scenario I haven't accounted for that gets me punished. This is a tough part of playing mid-range mirrors, is like every card is relevant, so you just have to be so aware. Like I play a bunch of decks that like only care about 30% of the cards that exist in the format.
Yeah.
And if you're playing the other 70%, they just ignore them and go about their day. And it's much easier that way. But with these mid-range decks, you're just like, every single removal spell in their colors, every single creature, Planeswalker, I have to be aware of and think, like, what if they have this?
Right, so 14.
Yeah, attack brings you to 14. We can press our advantage without being open to another sweeper with this Seraph, which is nice. And we are quite ahead on board, but our hand is looking a lot worse than it was a few turns ago.
All right. Say Nikki B and minus on this.
That's not a good sign. Definitely. I should have gotten a token off the hero from playing this. So we'll get that one, get my spirits. We're going to get a good chunk in here, but then we're going to lose our board to something. So definitely not extending. Ooh.
Definitely not extending. Ooh, here's another thing to extend.
Thought erasure.
Yeah, I got 2 of them, though.
Really? Okay, land in the graveyard.
Got him!
Play this tapped.
All right, so one here,
one there and six.
in me.
Yep.
All
So you're
I'm at
8. Pass. I've gotten in a good chunk of damage, and
All right,
but yeah.
kill yourself and make it 2/2. All
But Todd is ahead on card advantage here because he's just swept up all the card advantage my Dovin and Hero and Seraph generated all got swept up by the brutality.
Yeah, I am at 8, which is low, but you know, as long as I can just draw a few spells, it'll be okay.
With Todd at 8, I think I should just slam this Seraph. So
yeah,
you can go.
It's not great.
Enter the God Eternals would be
good. Go.
Todd, did you give any thought to the new Ral in this Grixis deck?
I had a bunch of new cards already, and we tried out Ral a little bit. I think Ral just goes into. You should make me bounce it probably. And then
yeah, I was reading this card. That seemed.
The new Ral I think is just only good in a more aggressively slanted shell.
All that does is bounce it.
Yeah, and makes me discard my last card,
which is a land, right?
You don't know that.
You had 2 lands when I thought I issued you.
That was 2 turns ago.
Was it?
Yeah. I went draw widespread, draw Kefnet.
Okay, so you have an unknown card in hand?
Yes.
And it's certainly not a spell that costs 3 or less. I would get to deal. Yeah, I guess if I don't know the card in your
feel
hand.
free to not do it. Just, that's fine.
Let's give this vigilance and attack for 4.
I'm at 4.
Play a tapped Watery Grave. You can go. Because this will force the chump block next turn, which I like. Okay, on 19. Just afraid of Cry. Even though I'm not sure it's in his deck. I have so much life to play with that. Okay, let's attack. Give Death Touch. Get some spirits.
Yep.
Got another amass thing.
Whoop.
Well, if you had that, you would not be attacking. Certainly going to go to 17.
I will cry the card.
That makes sense.
And your go.
I guess after the other attack, I should have suspected that, but...
Yeah, it's gone. Sorry.
Okay, so 17 to 4.
Yep.
Good old top deck war. Not the best. Nicol Bolas is the best.
All right. Plus, and you exile lands. I'll draw. Play Kefnet. Here you go. Well, you knew it was there.
Oh, yeah, this is the one that blocked. Yeah, sure. That makes Nicol... Yeah, you can go.
Yes! All right. Look, okay. Draw, you exile land. Attack for 4.
13.
Here you go.
Go.
Draw.
I had to do 5 lands in a row to start this game.
Well, my hand was just 4 nothings, so, exile land. Attack again, you're at 9. I'm going to Thought Erasure just to look at the top card.
Okay. I have 8 lands still, so if I can draw a Hostage Taker right now, I guess you would just... But then if you minus on the Kefnet, I don't draw anything, I can take out the Nicol Bolas.
Thought Erasure again. So.
Yeah.
Go.
Or I can draw a Watery Grave.
I don't feel bad for you, just so you know. All right. Exile land. Attack for 4.
5.
Go. This was a really sweet game until you drew 5 lands in a row.
Twice.
Yeah. The first time it let you cast all your stuff.
No, I kept a 3-lane hand.
All right. We'll draw them. Make you exile thing. Put you to 1. I will
draw 10 lands, 4 spells.
Say go, I guess.
I'm not sure what I can draw. Let's bounce the Kefnet.
Okay.
Not a bad start. Draw a card.
Yep.
Use the Sanity.
Okay.
You can go.
Draw for turn. I will make you exile a land. Roll Brutality to kill your Thief of Sanity. Make a 2/2. And I will play a Kefnet. And say go.
Perfect.
Thought Erasure you.
Plus.
Yeah.
Go.
Draw for turn.
I'm dead.
Okay.
I drew Dovin's Veto.
Nice. I mean, that's kind of why I just didn't want to bring in the Duresses, because I just drew so many extra cards and they were all blank. Like, you were like obviously drawing a bunch of actual blanks with the lands, but in my head I'm just like, this game is not technically over. Like, you know, Hostile Taker makes me like get rid of the Kefnet and gives me a thing that can actually put some amount of pressure on Bolas.
Yeah, I definitely had 2, maybe 3 turns to draw something, but
that's unfortunate.
Too many bricks.
A bad end to a very good game.
Yeah, every game we've played basically has been really good. Maybe should have sideboarded differently. Nicol Bolas, incredibly powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look that impressive until the very end. Like, obviously, a Planeswalker that draws a card every single turn is going to apply a lot of pressure to your opponent if they can't kill it. Yeah. The upside of, like, getting an extra card out of it, even if it's, like, a bad one or a token or something, is still pretty sweet. And then the minus is, like, obviously this card plays out a little bit better than something like Obnixilis, that we, you know, the plus was draw a card, minus was kill a creature, right? That whole shebang for 5 mana. This goes a little further. Killing a Planeswalker for 5 mana while leaving your Planeswalker around is pretty nuts.
Yeah, no, very, very powerful card. One that I think also would have looked very good in the previous game had you not cast a Thought Erasure.
Yeah.
So that was a key. It was a key part of your plan there, and looked good until you got blown up at the Enter the God Eternals. I'm gonna get that wrong so often.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. You'll get it eventually.
But this is a card that looked really good. Like, even in a matchup where, you know, you're not playing a lot of creatures that it really kills, like dealing with one of your zombie tokens, dealing with an Augur, and getting a 4/4.
Yeah, I mean, 5 mana 4/4 that gains you 4 life is already, like, pretty good. But it also just kills something. And no matter what that something is, like, that's pretty darn good. We saw in game 1, like, I got to do the kind of combo kill with Enter the God Eternals with one of the zombies already in play and just, like, attacking for a giant chunk of damage. That was awesome.
Yeah, that is an underrated part of the card, or of the mechanic, I guess, for a deck like this, where you're really removal heavy, kind of threat light. It lets you turn the corner really quickly.
Right.
You know, if you just start from a 2/2 and then kill their last thing, gain the life to get out of burn range with an Enter the God Eternals, then you have a 6/6 and you're smashing in there, and they're going to be dead in 2-3 turns.
Yeah. The other card that actually really impressed me too was Commence the Endgame. Like, in game 1, just having that, like, surprise, here's a blocker for your 4/4, it's my 5/5, and I drew 2 cards, which allowed me to untap and start doing even more stuff. And this, I think, is one of the worst decks for a card like this, where you want to play primarily at instant speed. I think in, like, a deck that's a lot of counter spells, Chemister's Insight, Search for Escanta, things like that, something like Commence the Endgame is going to blow your opponent out on the regular because it can't be countered. And you know, how do they play around, like, Commence the Endgame and settle the wreckage? Like, they just, you know, like, how do you beat a hand that, like, is all instant speed stuff, the top end of which eats your best creature and gives them, like, you know, a 4/4, 5/5 type creature?
Yeah, I do think you want to pair that card with some other amass so that you can get the bigger body and get the Torrential Gearhulk mode, which is what we saw be so impressive when you cast it in game 2, or game 1. So that's an aspect of the card that I think you need to emphasize so you can reach the ceiling. But in, you know, control mirrors, when you're both staring at each other for a long time, being able to cast your card draw spell and make a 2/2 is pretty good.
Yeah, and again, something like Esper, you take a little bit of pressure off of stuff like Search for Escanta, because then they start having to use, like, the Mortifies on the amass tokens because they're just so big. And, you know, and sometimes even they can't really tap out for, like, a Teferi, because if they do, you just get to spend 6, make this big thing that they can't really deal with potentially.
Yeah, so it just adds that little wrinkle, forces your opponent to blink first, and really it comes down to any time that you can generate card advantage while affecting the battlefield at the same time, you're going to be doing something really powerful because you're hitting both those axes, and normally you have to sacrifice on one to gain on the other.
Right.
You sacrifice tempo to get a board advantage by like pitching Seeming Spirit Guide, accelerating your mana or something, or play underpowered cards, or you sacrifice time because you have to spend that time playing Chemist's Insight. And that like even in this matchup where we're not playing this hard control mirror, like and I'm not playing super aggressively, you don't have time to sit here and tap out for your Chemist's Insights.
Yeah, all of our cards generated virtual or actual card advantage on their own, and they had the snowball effect where I never really had the time to cast Chemist's Insight, or at the very least never to cast the back half. And I think that is just a sign where you're in a matchup where it's just not that good.
Yeah, but you're always going to have time to cast a card like Enter the End Game, Commence the End Game.
Commence the End Game, yeah, just because of that huge tempo swing that you generate.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, a lot of new cards flying back and forth. A lot of really interesting decision points for this first match that we played. Robbo, any questions before we move on to the next one?
Yes. Do you have any thoughts on Finale of Revelation? Have you seen that one yet?
Is that the red one?
No, it is the blue one. that got previewed today.
Hit me with it.
It is X blue draw or sorcery. Draw X cards. If X is 10 or more, instead shuffle your graveyard into your library, draw X cards, untap up to 5 lands, and you have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Exile Finale of Revelation.
Okay, so you said sorcery, right?
Yes.
It's just Mind Spring.
It's just way better Mind Spring.
So, like Mind Spring with this like end game case that like I don't know. Normally when you're casting a Mind Spring for 10, you're going to win the game anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. But you also have to take into consideration that a lot of times when you're casting a Mind Spring for like 5, 6, 7, somewhere along those lines, like you leave yourself vulnerable for that one turn, and your opponent can sometimes kill you in that one turn. And so this maybe prevents some of that, which I do like.
Yeah, there's some percentage of games where having that one turn window where you get to untap the lands and cast the key removal spell to keep you alive, super important. But for the most part, the card's like 102% of Mind Spring.
That's fair. I actually think the red one is quite good though. It's red X. You can cast up to 2 instant or sorcery cards from your graveyard with converted mana cost X or less. And then
for free.
Yep. And then if you spend 10, you double both or whatever. So like it's pretty good. Just like red 1, just like play 2 ponders or a bullet to ponder or whatever. Like
Jaya still legal, right?
Yeah.
Cool, Jaya.
Yeah. It's also pretty good with Ral. You get to copy it. You get to do a lot of cool stuff.
You got to have a lot of spells in your graveyard for that one.
You do.
That's not an Enigma Drake deck. That's a Crackling Drake deck.
All right, Mr. Robbo, any more?
Do you think that Nicol Bolas will see play in Modern? Do you think he's that good?
5 mana is a lot in Modern. Teferi, I think, was good because it gives you that burst of mana as well as the card.
Yeah, Teferi's a 3 mana card.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a 3 mana card that you can't cast till turn 5. Nicol Bolas costing 5 is pretty rough. It's obviously really powerful, but I don't know if it's going to break into Modern.
Also, like the additional abilities on it relative to a card like Teferi or some other similar effect are abilities that situated as being better in Standard, like killing a Planeswalker and a creature.
Or gaining the abilities of opposing Planeswalkers.
Yeah, those are things that don't come up as often in Modern. So like the extra window dressing on the card that makes it so exciting for a format like Standard does not have the same effect for Modern. So that's a pass from me.
All right.
And then we had another one. Given how Ravnica sets in general tend to have more intensive mana costs, does that make Standard more interesting for you and better to build decks, or does it just make everything more restrictive?
Historically, I think the former has generally been true. Almost every Ravnica Standard format has been very good. My favorite Standard format of all time is Kamigawa Original Ravnica. Which I think had basically no best deck for any significant amount of time, had a huge range of different archetypes across colors. The RTR block, Return to Ravnica formats, RTR Theros was the Devotion Standard. People didn't really like that one. But
the pack rat stuff was like out of control, I guess. But
yeah, it wasn't the best format because it wasn't particularly dynamic. We found all the best decks in the first 2 months of the format, and they stayed that way with like Domri and Corsair made that deck a thing 4 months in, and then like Selesnya and Mono Red got good towards the end of the format. But for the most part, like we figured it out really quickly. So that was a problem, and I think that's the one stain on it. But the other formats have been really interesting, as much as people complained about like Thragtusk. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I do really appreciate the fact that for this time around on Ravnica, a lot of the cards are restrictive in casting costs, so it makes it a bit harder. It makes you play more shock lands, more of the buddy lands, so that you actually like start taking more damage. You have draws that are sometimes clunky. Things like Basilica Bellhaunt, those are like pretty tough to cast sometimes. Crackling Drake.
Kaya's Wrath, there's a lot of them. And I think that was a conscious reaction to the dominance of Mutavault, which is the card that actually is the reason why all the monocolor decks were really good in Devotion Era Standard. Because Mutavault was just so powerful, and there wasn't a big enough incentive from the gold decks or multicolor decks to get away from Mutavault in the monocolor decks, because Devotion also like pushed you to be monocolor. There's enough payoff there. Now they're giving us significant payoff with these really powerful gold cards, but only if you really commit hard to a color. And we'll see, how does that balance with these good utility lands they've printed. We've got the Engineered Explosives land and the Creature land that are both pretty powerful and should see some play. But, how do you fit them? How do you balance those against the powerful, XXYY costing cards? So I think that's a conscious design decision they made, and I think it's a good one. I think it'll lead to better balance and avoid the one mistake they've made. But historically, Ravnica sets have encouraged a lot of diversity. Sometimes there have been certain guilds that are a little overpowered. We've mostly seen 2-3 color decks. Sometimes you saw 3 with a splash. And contrast that with times when they print artifact-centric sets where cards get banned and every deck plays Smuggler's Copter or Scrap Heap Scrounger for 2 years straight. So, you get homogeneity when every single deck can play a certain card as long as you play 8 black dual lands and some ways to use a 3-2 that can't block. And you get, differences when you say, that pick your 2-color base, you can splash any of the other 3 colors. But as long as they all solve different problems, then you get that sort of metagame cycle coming in where week 1, we got to solve one problem, we splash color 1. Week 2, now we have a different problem, we splash color 2, and you keep going. So I'm excited for it, and I think we're going to see continued diversity in Standard because Ravnica has such a storied history of it.
Alrighty. Well, with that, we are going to conclude match 1, but don't go anywhere after the short break. We're going to come back with our second match where we're going to be playing, is this Abzan? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you got your Abzan deck up next.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk more about it when we get to this. Abzan Bantu. What are you playing?
Gruul Aggro.
All right. Well, stick around. We'll be right back for more Versus Live.